This is Infection, the survival podcast recorded live on Wednesday, April 11th, 2018, episode 169. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. At Nicholas M. Craig is my Twitter handle. InfectionPodcast.com is the website. Joining me as he does each and every week, Mr. Brian Aldrich. Hey, Brian. How are you?
Hello. I managed to drag myself in here today. Day late, but we're good. If you want to find me at Voice Computer on Twitter, of course, you can go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. Also, make sure you check out our website, infectionpodcast.com. We have our links to our Discord group on there. We have our Steam group if you want notifications before the show starts. Maybe for some reason you didn't miss the show yesterday and didn't realize we're doing it today. If you're a part of our Steam group, you got a nice little pop-up saying the show is starting right now. So make sure you go onto our website, infectionpodcast.com. Got lots of things for you to check out there, from our Steam group to show notes and all the different links and images, videos that we discussed during this show. We try to have all of that with the episode that we're just discussing it on. So you just go on there and you'll have all of that available, and a video and audio version of the show in case you want to watch it on our site and not from a podcast app. So make sure you go there and check it out. And if for some reason something doesn't work, maybe you have an issue with getting our video getting our audio on your podcast app or whatever way that you try to view us, make sure you let us know so that we know we can go track down what's going on with that. Because there's a lot of different places across the internet that serve our podcast. And sometimes technology changes with them. We need to figure out, why. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that's all the self-promotion.
Well, I do need to apologize to everybody for not being live yesterday. Of course, as I said in the intro there, it is Wednesday, April 11th, 2018. I think I talked about this originally when I moved down here, that at some point or another, and it will happen again as things go on, my work schedule will dictate kind of what we do about the show. And fortunately, I had the opportunity to travel out to Las Vegas for the National Association of Broadcasters show, NAB, over the past couple of days. So we were able to push the show back. Brian was cool with the day pushed back, and it's a great reason to follow us on Twitter, because that was Twitter and Discord were pretty much your sources of information for this. I think Friday, I think is when I found out that I was going to be out of town Monday and Tuesday. So when I found that out, Put it out on Twitter, put it in the Discord, put it out on Twitter a couple of times yesterday, put it out on Twitter 2 or 3 times today, and put it in Discord a couple of times as well. So that's kind of the way to keep track of this. It doesn't happen often. I would say it's probably happened a handful of times, but it does happen, and it will happen as work schedule changes and stuff. But I do want to say quickly, obviously it was the National Association of Broadcasters. There's a lot of high-end equipment, a lot of high-end gear. And I'll tell you, they had what they called the podcast pavilion, where they had some podcasts and some podcast hosts set up. What an absolute joke. No reason. This is exactly the reason why the broadcast industry doesn't take these podcasters and podcasts seriously. I mean, this is just a lame, pathetic excuse for, like, Libsyn was there, Blueberry was there, but it's just nothing. It wasn't exciting. It was just their stupid booths with, and I'm not trying to attack any of these companies like Libsyn or Spreaker or anybody. I'm not attacking them, but you're at the broadcaster show. You're at the show where Blackmagic has got a booth that's the size of, like, I don't know how many thousands of square feet this damn booth that Blackmagic. This booth was huge. It was probably 2,000 or 3,000 square feet. And then these podcast booths are they got their little signs up, and that's about it. So that was a little disappointing to see that
I think part of the problem is they feel like they're the only option. I mean, if you look, Libsyn, Blueberry, they're really the only options for what they do, other than self-hosting, like we self-host.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of the default where a lot of these podcasters, and it's a big marketing club. I mean, you've been in the podcasting world long enough, you know that all of it's just promotion and upselling and getting, these other podcasters are selling things to other podcasters,
Yep.
Getting commissions. And so they probably just feel like, oh, we just need to have a presence to where we check it out off the list and say we were there. They're not really trying to sell anybody, because who are they really going to gain at a professional conference like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going for the low hanging fruit of the people that are like, oh yeah, I want to do a podcast, and I'm willing to spend however much money per month to have it hosted, not realizing that they could probably do it for free or have other ways to do it. Like, that's just the easy way.
I think
people do it.
I think the big thing that bothered me was not that they weren't selling. It was just how they just seem to lack enthusiasm and excitement. Like, they had this thing as like Ask the Podcast Expert, and they had some microphones set up, and Shure was there. It just was very underwhelming. Cause I mean, let's be honest here. We're sitting here, we're doing a podcast. All of these, and the other problem too is all these podcasters think they're hot crap and they're the greatest damn thing since sliced bread, and they're not, because there's a million podcasts. I mean, just the reality of the situation. But I don't think it reflected very well on this medium that's going to eventually take over and shut down, terrestrial or hurt severely terrestrial radio and television. It was very lackluster. So that was a little disappointing, but, I would say if you're a kind of a video tech nerd, or an audio nerd, I would highly recommend, the NAB show. They do it every year in Vegas. And I've always wanted to go, and had the opportunity to travel out there for work. So had a good time. And yeah, that's why we didn't do the show Tuesday, but it was a well needed event that I had to go to. So with that being said, how was how are you doing, Brian? What's going on in your world?
Not too much. I was supposed to play hockey this weekend, and then they canceled the game. It was like my big. I was so excited. I haven't played in like 6 months. It feels like it's been probably 4 months, but it feels like 6 months. And then I got a thing right before I was getting to walk out the door with my bag. I got a text that said, "Oh, we're gonna have to cancel it."
The grand reveal, and you got slammed.
So I made Laura go out to the tennis courts here and pass a puck around to me.
Well, there you go. So,
and we did it so much that her arms are now sore. She doesn't realize there's like a lot of muscle that goes into that. I'm surprised.
That's what I've heard from the tennis people. Or the tennis people. I'm sorry, the hockey people. Tennis court, you threw me off. So yeah, well that's good to hear. Glad everything is going well with the shoulder. So now when is your game? Your next game now? This weekend?
No, it'll be like a month.
Oh, damn.
So I can't play my normal team till 3 more months probably.
Gotcha.
And so this is just like a really casual team that meets like once a month and plays. So this month's one was canceled. That's pretty disappointing, because I can't play now for another month, which for me is like just driving me crazy.
I can imagine. I can imagine that. Let's see. So game of the week was PUBG. And
yep, and got a few games in.
Not many.
Like 3.
I'll tell you,
was it 3 or 4?
I think it was 3 or 4. I don't know what it was Friday night, but I was just not in the mood, and I don't think anybody was in the mood to deal with the nonsense in PUBG.
Well, we kept getting the same map over and over again. It was pretty frustrating.
It's that shitty desert map, which I hate. Nobody likes it. It's a terrible map.
It seems like it was doing it that. I mean, it was like 3/4 of the time it was doing that map, because I only got the other map I think once, and we got the desert map 3 times in a row.
I'm not a fan of that map. That's not true. I like the map. I like how it looks. I like the aesthetics of it, but I just wish like
the loot's not right yet.
Well, the loot's not right, but I wish like a game. I wish you could pick. You want to play original or the desert map. I'm not opposed to the desert map. I'm opposed to, as you're saying, getting the same map over and over again. That's very anybody that's played a game like Call of Duty or Battlefield, there's, maybe 6 or 8 maps in the regular rotation. If you just keep getting the same map over and over again, it gets really old, really quick, and really boring, especially if it's one of the maps that you don't particularly like. So that's kind of what we were running into, is this same stupid map, which I saw the doc tweeted today that he tweeted at PUBG, said, get rid of the desert map or something like that. Then it shouldn't get rid of it. Just give a playlist option. Play regular, play desert, or play mix.
Why don't they have that be a different kind of game mode? Because if you look, they could do kind of a Western, different kinds of guns on that map to make it to where when you're playing that map, it's a different kind of feel. Have it be like a shotguns, the 30-30 rifle, have it be less of the ranged, maybe make people kind of force them to come a little bit closer on that map, less of the distance play. I think that would be nice to have if you're going to have these different looking maps, just like they're doing with this new map. Maybe have a theme to it, because right now there are some weapons that are in there that are different, but all the other weapons are still there, and so it's not really, no one's picking up the double barrel shotgun as a preference. So I think if you've kind of forced it to say, all right, when you're in the desert map, you kind of have a Western themed layout of or loadout of weapons. I think that you would probably get a little more enthusiasm rather than, this is the same game, but it's just, I just don't, the loot's not as good. So it just doesn't, you're comparing it to the other maps is the problem, because the loot's better on the original map. So you go into that one, and it's like, well, this one just doesn't have enough loot, and you get frustrated. Well, if they made it to where it was a totally different play style, you wouldn't care so much about the loot being exact to the other map.
Here's my problem. I don't like being forced to what map I have to play. If you've got 2 maps in the game or 3 maps in the game, in this case, there's only 2 maps. So give me option A, give me option A, B, or a mix, or both. I can choose what mode I want to play.
Well, why don't they give like a bonus, whatever points or whatever bonus for people that do the random playlist, and then, you get maybe less of a bonus perks or whatever after the match. If you're picking a specific map, just to encourage people to play it. But if you don't want to, you don't have to.
And that's just kind of the thing, is I can't stand that I'm being forced. So that was original. So we get Myanmar 2 or 3 times, and it's just the typical PUBG death where you're running through an area, you're getting shot, you can't for the life of you tell where the hell the bullets are coming from. You're standing behind a rock and you're still getting shot, so you move to the opposite side of the rock and you're still getting shot. Just the typical PUBG stuff. And I don't know if I wasn't in a great mood Friday night. I don't remember not being in a good mood. I just was not having fun after we played maybe 4 or 5 games. I just wasn't having a good time, and we played mini golf.
It was kind of a consensus. It wasn't like one person said. I think everybody after that one final match was just like, all right,
this is stupid.
We're done.
Yeah.
We are done.
So we played some golf with friends, played a couple rounds of golf with friends, and that was the Friday night game night. Unfortunate, because I obviously big fan of PUBG, but I just was not in the mood to be dealing with that stuff on Friday night. It was just the same repetitive, loot for 10 minutes, then run through a field and get shot from God knows wherever. And that was just a little frustrating, and I think everybody was just kind of fed up with it at that point. So, that was Friday night, and coming up this Friday, as I think I said in the pre-show, I will not be around. I've got a work function I need to attend Friday and Saturday night. So, do you want to announce what we're playing later on? Because it'll kind of make sense.
Let's go and announce it later on, because we'll be discussing it then. So what we'll do is
it's a newer game.
Discuss it and then say, hey, that's what we'll be doing for the game of the week. But that'll be like halfway through the show, so it won't be at the last minute. So if someone is saying, hey, I have to leave before the show ends, about halfway through, we will announce, and we'll talk about it on Discord as well.
Yep.
So
and we'll mention it at the end of the program as well. So if you just look for the game, we'll skip all the way to the end, and we'll mention in our closing as well. We'll mention what we're playing. All right, Brian. So we got a bunch of notes here. I'm jet lagged from Vegas, so we're not, and you've got a kind of a hard out time. So let's cover the important stuff first. Where on here do you want to start?
So let's do the first thing first, since we're discussing PUBG. I just found an interesting article, and I know you like the title.
Yeah, I know.
But I call it China, because this is something we have alleged for a lot. I mean,
169 weeks.
And yes, and this is something that I know some other people have disagreed with us on, and I think this is kind of a little bit of proof to back us up in our theory of how this is all working. So there was a presentation that was done by was this Asus? This was Dell. So Dell did a presentation, and they were presenting, this is basing it off of, they're doing pretty much a presentation in Chinese. And through this presentation, they start discussing how the players in China kind of have a unique, they like plugins is what she called them.
Oh, okay.
They said players in China. And so then they said that this laptop that they made is tailored for plugins, in China, because Chinese players tend to like plugins. But during this presentation, she's showing on the screen what they consider plugins. And so I've got a couple images that you can pull up. I don't know if that game looks familiar to you.
That is PUBG.
But these are some of the plugins that they're discussing. So she said one that they like is the oversized rifle plugin. So that's one where it makes your gun gigantic. I would assume it makes everybody's guns gigantic so you can see where they are, right? From very far away. You just see a giant gun flying around. Another one makes you fly like Superman. But then there's another slide. If we can go to the other one. This one, well, that's ESP on the left.
Oh, that is strange. ESP, yeah.
So this is what they consider a plugin, is straight up ESP. And so Dell is making this laptop tailor-made for cheating in China.
Well, let me read a quote.
They said
here.
that it's extra fast, so they will run it.
Yeah, one of the quotes here, and this is converted. It says Chinese gamers are the most innovative and dominant in the world by using the plugins, which cheats, hacks, to, for example, run faster than other players or blow up 10 cars at a time. And these top games could really use an 8th generation Dell whatever the hell to do it. And obviously Dell's Alienware as well. They purchased Alienware years ago. So this is I love this. This is the article here is from PCPowerplay.com. There'll be a link in the show notes, and I love how it just a couple of F-bombs in the article.
We have a link to the original article that pretty much converted it all from Chinese as well, so that you can. It was posted on a Japanese. The original article was posted on a Japanese website, and then it was translated to English. So
now,
but one thing I found interesting too is they had said, I'm trying to find the quote, but it says use the 8th gen power to run more plugins to win more at chicken dinner is the quote.
Nice. Now,
so it's so that you will kill us by cheating is exactly what they're saying.
Now, so I agree with you, of course, and anybody with half of a brain could figure that out. Then, so Dell released a statement to this blog, pcpowerplay.com.au, and they said Dell Australia was the one that contacted them and said Dell's fully committed to supporting fair play in online gaming. We do not encourage nor endorse any behavior that undermines fair gaming practices. Dell has a strong track record in partnering with gaming teams, aiming at providing world-class gamers with the ultimate experience and attempt to communicate the power of the new Dell G series. Inappropriate modification examples were used in Dell's product launch event in China last week. This does not reflect our global gaming culture or strategy. We condemn any modifications misused in gaming. Now, I agree with them. This does not reflect their global gaming culture, but we've discussed many a time.
To China.
Exactly. And guess what, Brian? Here's the reality situation. It sucks. It's according like this who's the author on this? David Hollingworth, who is writing this article for PC Power Play, says that's it, pretty effing blatant. Dell's pretty much telling people to ignore Bluehost's terms of service, so on and so forth. But you look at this from Dell's perspective, Brian. They are just marketing towards.
They're tailoring to the market that's there.
So, I mean, one side of me wants to say this is terrible. One side of me does say this is terrible. This is awful. They shouldn't do this. But then the other hand to me says this is just a genius marketing ploy in a country where we've discussed many of time. We've discussed this we probably discuss this every other week. We talk about Chinese gaming culture and cheating. So they're marketing their computer towards the consumer. So the question here is do you get pissed at Dell? No, not really. I mean, yes, they're bringing a product to the market that I wouldn't purchase, but if they're in competition with Asus and Acer and everybody else, MSI, this is what they're doing to get the upper hand in China.
Yeah.
So this is a tough situation. And then you've got to look at, I mean, the initial reaction to say, oh, screw Dell, this is ridiculous. And of course that makes sense. You can have that reaction. But the reality of the situation is this is business. This is them trying to sell as many 8th generation Dell laptops as possible. Saying, oh, if you're somebody that likes to use plugins, our computer runs plugins the best. So who's really to blame here?
Well, and I think the part that's difficult for them to defend is that PUBG there is no single player. Like, one thing that we've always said is if people want to modify their local single player games, go for it. But all of this, I think the person in China knew 100% what they were saying. It wasn't a mistake. I think in China that there's just such a different mindset of what is acceptable there when it comes to gaming. And we've, as I said, we've said this from the beginning. Over there, that's just the way it goes. Now, for me, that does nothing to dissuade me from the opinion that I have of we need to block China from playing on American servers, period. I don't care if they do it over there, because I think enough of them do it over there to where that's just the way the games are played. But I think that this is one thing where you have to block the country altogether.
Here's a good analogy. It would be like in baseball or football if 70 or 80% of the athletes were juiced up on steroids. It would, if everybody's doing it, it's a level playing field per se. Obviously, the reason PEDs and steroids and stuff are prohibited substances in sports is because it's not a level playing field. Not everybody's doing it. We've talked about the region lock. PUBG is the one that's coming up with that new ping system that we talked about a couple weeks ago, where it automatically, it doesn't even give you an option to select it. It just selects for you based on how close you are, but you can play with your friends. It will cross back and forth to other regions. Everybody's known this. Everybody knows this exists. Everybody, I guess, is okay that it exists because nobody's doing anything about it. And I mean, obviously, you don't want to shut off.
But the thing though, I recommend, people if they're interested in, I mean, speaking of doping, there's a documentary on Netflix called Icarus, if I remember correctly. It is talking about the doping scandal with the Olympics that's been happening since the time that, I don't know, probably the 40s, right? Since the time of there being big competition between the countries in the Olympics, they found out that all of these countries, China, Russia, probably the United States as well, were doing very elaborate schemes to be able to hide. And most of their pretty much all the people, and according to one of the guys in the interview, he said pretty much everyone that's won a gold medal in the last 40 years has been doping. And they actually uncovered a huge plot. One was in China, to where they were sneaking out and swapping out all the urine samples before the Olympics, and that all of the top athletes were doping. And Russia, the exact same thing. I just think it's a different mindset. This whole play fair. I mean, if that's the thing, is why would someone like me try to compete in the Olympics when there's no level playing field? And I think for me to want to go and compete in something, in video games, for example, it's just not the same when I don't know what a level playing field is. Like, what are accurate times as far as someone who is running 400-meter dash? What is an accurate? Let's look at bodybuilding today. If you look at the 40s, what a bodybuilder was versus today, like what is normal? We don't even understand what normal is anymore, because you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger and you want to tell me that he isn't doping, didn't dope? No, impossible. Eh, and so I think that we don't even know what a non-cheating playing field for games is. Like, I don't even know what an online game feels like. What, how good are we? Because I feel like we've been disillusioned to think that, there weren't that many cheaters in the past. And I think it's just becoming more apparent how many cheaters there are now. And it's becoming more blatant. I don't even know, like, how good are we at video games when it feels like half the players are probably using some sort of cheat, whether it's ESP or something to help them aim. It's frustrating as a person who doesn't do that. And I think that there's going to be needs to be a huge change in the industry to turn this around. Something that truly locks down the game clients and even the operating system. That's one reason why we play console a lot with certain games, because it's not as prone to these issues.
Yeah, and we talked about it, I think, a couple of weeks ago. The PUBG on Android in China is they're modifying it so they can hook up freaking keyboard and mice to the damn mobile version of the game. And that we saw, there was an image we showed of somebody in China doing that. It's a different culture. And I'm not saying it's bad or good or better or worse. All I'm saying is it's different. And it's not that different is scary.
That lets me decide whether or not I want to compete in it.
Well, that's fine, but it's not that different is scary or different is bad or different is good. It's just that when I'm playing by the rules, like when Mark McGuire, what did he? It's 75 home runs in one baseball season. Of course, he was on freaking steroids. Baseball players don't hit 75 home runs in a season. Same thing with Barry Bonds, hit 70+ home runs in a season. They're cheating. It's not a level playing field. That's the difference. It's not that it's a different play style. They're literally just cheating. And that's fine. That's how they want. Yeah. If everybody wants to cheat in China, that's great. Then it's a level playing field. But when the Chinese players are coming onto the NA or European servers and screwing everybody in those regions, that is no longer a fair, level playing field. And all it does is piss people like you and I off that on a Friday night want to go play PUBG, and we can't tell if we're being killed by a legitimate person or some hacker because we can't see any of the bullets anyway. So we're just getting shot aimlessly. We're dead. Who the hell killed you? Where'd they shoot you from? You can spectate them, but that doesn't tell you a whole lot.
Yeah.
So it's just a little frustrating.
Well, and I think that's kind of the point of all this is if people in China want to play that way, and obviously the marketing there, and we discussed it earlier, that's how they want to play over there, and that's what they're tailoring it to. Just give us our own playground to play in. And I think that's where these game developers have really struggled. They want to not seem biased. But, if you find that this playground over here has a bunch of people that are, fighting and stuff, and then you have a lot of people who are not fighting, well, maybe you should separate them. Mixing them all together is not going to solve the problem. You're just going to make it so the people that normally wouldn't fight are going to get in situations where they're fighting. And I think you get people that get so frustrated over the playing that you probably get people who go out and buy cheats just because they feel like, well, I'm just going to be able to compete on this, I have to do the same thing. I bet you get people that normally would not, that are now willing to go and buy a cheat just so that they feel the same as the other people that are around them. So I don't know. I think that's how a lot of people were in H1Z1. I bet you a lot of people started cheating that normally would not have, just because it seemed like everyone was.
It's a lose-lose situation, I think. In 90% of the cases, it's a lose-lose situation, because the U.S. players they're either forced to buy a cheat or not play the game or play in some other region, and the company itself, whoever's making the game, have it be H1 or PUBG or Fortnite or whoever, I mean, they're getting screwed because now they've got regular people that don't want to cheat that feel that they're being forced to cheat. So,
yeah.
Here's the thing.
Well, if I check around on the mobile client and I find that most of the people are using a keyboard and mouse, I'm going to want to use a keyboard and mouse on the mobile client, because what's the point of playing if you just get killed the second that you run into anybody, even though you're not that, it's not that you're a worse player than that person.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's clearly harder than just region locking, because somebody would have done it already. There's got to be more to it. And I'm not a game developer. I don't pretend to be a game developer. I know Brian plays around with some stuff, but Brian, it's got to be more complicated than just, oh, region lock China, because somebody would have done it already. I mean, realistically, somebody would have already done it. The reason that they're not, there's got to be some reason that they're not region locking China. I don't know what it is. I'm hoping maybe somebody can enlighten me on what it is, but there's got to be something.
China doesn't allow firewall, or doesn't allow VPNs anymore. I mean, so now is the perfect time to do it. How are people from China somehow playing on West Coast servers? That's what I don't understand. Because they could region lock China. VPNs are no longer allowed. And maybe, you can block proxies, block common VPNs, and you would cut out a lot of those people that are, playing on regions that they shouldn't. I think that I don't understand why they're not, because I understand the server technology that they could, but as you said, why they aren't, I don't know, because it seems like it would be such an easy solution just to say, all right, the American servers will not allow any IP blocks that are from China, period. But they haven't. Why?
And that's what makes me think.
Is it money? I mean, that's the thing, is the majority of their player base is China. Does it come down to money? They know that people would not play if they couldn't play on American servers.
Okay, but here's the thing though. Yes and no. Maybe that is the case, that the Chinese players don't want to play on non-American servers, but it's not a region lock. The way I think of it is, you are locked to the region that you are in, where you reside, where you purchase your internet connection. That's the region that you play in. If that's the case, then what's the problem? I mean, right? Your Chinese players, they just play with a whole bunch of Chinese people in China, in that region, in the Asia Pacific region, whatever they have it called. So,
yeah,
I guess I don't really know, but this was a very. Where did you find this? Did you find this on Reddit or something like that, or did you just randomly come across
it? I think PH posted it in our Discord earlier.
Okay, cool.
And so I started looking. Yeah, PH posted it in our news channel, so I started reading into it and kind of digging around.
Well, thank you, PH. I appreciate it, because I mean, this is the stuff that doesn't get talked about, doesn't get reported on. This is stuff that's just going on in the background, and nobody wants it, because it's not fun to talk about, right? Nobody wants to talk about region locks. I asked.
Well, look at how many people that kind of said to us, "Oh no, that's not what's happening." That's a closed-minded view.
I mean, I mentioned region locks to the freaking H1Z1 people 2 years ago, and I might as well have had four eyes popping out of my head. I mean, it was like, oh my God, what the hell? Why would you say something that's so absurd? Well, I mean, now you've got Dell, and again, I don't blame Dell for marketing this, but you've got Dell marketing, you buy our computer, it's the best computer for cheating. That's what you've got Dell doing. And again, I'm not blaming Dell.
This is someone in China. This is a person in China saying the Chinese player likes this.
Yeah.
It's not someone from America who's mad that they got killed by a hacker saying it. This is inside of China, a representative of China saying, however they worded it, that was really strange to say, Chinese players like plugins. They tried to make it like a noble thing in the beginning of the article of how they worded, they're competitive, so they like plugins. Well, isn't that the opposite of being competitive? The fact that you cheat rather than try to be good. That's the opposite of competitive. That's like giving it. It'd be like me having something that takes shots for me in hockey, so I don't have to. Well, is that competitive? No, that's lazy. And I think that's the difference in the mindset. Over here, we look at that and we're like, well, why would you do that? For over there, there's something else is working in the way they think, to where for them, as she said it, that's competitive. Where we would say, well, that's the opposite. And it's just a totally different way of thinking than what you and I do. And so for us, it's so foreign. We look at it and we're like, that just doesn't make sense. And I can look at it and I can't wrap my head around it. There's no way I can look at it and say, maybe I understand where they're coming from. It doesn't. For me, it is 100% foreign.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you bringing that up, and it's a good conversation. We will absolutely, unequivocally, without a doubt, continue to have that conversation. As it continues to come up, I mean, we'll mention it.
Yeah, we brought it up over the years when we were it seems like some of the first people willing to say it out loud.
Yeah.
And now I think it's becoming so apparent to everyone that they're getting to the point where they can't really deny it, because here it's not a hater saying it. It's they themselves saying it as a fact. Okay, well, are you going to tell them? What are you going to say to them? Are you going to say they're lying about themselves? No, they're not. So, I mean, this kind of proves the point that we've been saying for years, that has been the political thing, politically correct thing to say, but it's reality. Whether you like it or not, it's reality. And so we'll bring it up, and, as we see more and more cases of it happening, more and more proof of it, we'll keep bringing it out till finally people are willing. I think I brought the analogy out years ago where I said, it's like the case where, was it the king with no clothes?
Yeah.
Who's walking down the street. I mean, I brought up that analogy. That's what it's like. People are unwilling to look and say, there's the king, he's naked. That's the exact analogy I brought up. And it's, but the king has said, hey, I like being naked. Oh, no, he's not naked. No, he just said it. So, well, accept it.
Kind of rendezvousing into this is a massive thing that Steam just did that is going to change, for us, I think, a large portion of our conversations. As people are familiar,
yes,
we very frequently, Brian has many a times in the past pulled up charts showing US player count versus Chinese player counts and all this extensive information, a lot of it coming from SteamSpy and Steam Info DB, yep, and our Steam DB info, all these other places. And Valve, with their Steam product, with their most recent update, has made everybody's gaming libraries hidden by default.
Yes.
So the way
unless you opt in to have them shown.
Unless you opt in. Now, so as of right now, services like SteamSpy are useless, because what those were pretty much doing is scraping player information, scraping player data. And I guess there's currently no API. I was reading a Reddit post before I left the office this evening about it, and I guess there were some talks about the Steam API making some of this information available. Hopefully, because as of right now, with this current update, there is no accurate way to get numbers from Steam about who is playing what game, when, where, why. Which means,
and I understand why they wouldn't want screen scraping. I mean, I understand why they wouldn't want that, but as you said, it would make sense for them to then create a more effective way to get this information out.
So it is with great sadness that I announce that, effective immediately, we are going to have to stop the current players segment. Because
they won't be accurate.
It'll only be people that have opted in. And obviously anybody knows that opt-in programs don't work. It's very hard to get players to sign up for it. So we're hoping here that SteamSpy is able to get access back to some of this information.
Well, and just as an example, like this is how I've talked about in the past our Hangout Canopy product that I did with with the Google product. And this is how we were doing it originally. We were pretty much doing what we called screen scraping. We were going and manually pulling all this information and then creating a usable product for the person in the end. It would have been very easy for Google to turn around and have something like an API like this that lets us plug into their program and have this information very easily. But they didn't do that. And so we had to do all these crazy tricks, just like this guy at SteamSpy is doing, or was doing up until this point, to be able to gather these statistics for us. Steam in the back end could very easily, I mean, this guy has servers running that are just sitting there and looking at every profile every day, and getting the information and then calculating up the totals. Steam, on the other hand, could very easily in the background just do this. Like they could just put something that says, all right, do you want to pull how many people own this game? Here, we'll just pull that number from our database, and it's easily handed to them. Now, the thing is, it would kind of make SteamSpy a little bit irrelevant. He could brand himself as being someone who creates a very good way to look at the information, right?
Mhm.
But anybody who had access to the API could probably do the same thing. So there would be a competition of just whoever could make him the most useful interface and make it look the best. But it would kind of, I don't know that he would really want them to create an API other than he has the current brand name of, but what people know, he may be able to maintain some users doing that. But it's totally in Steam's hand at this point.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And it's interesting here as I was reading a couple of articles about it. This is a developer saying, quote, as a developer, SteamSpy was a very useful tool to research the size of various niches and estimate the success of a game. Like, people that are into dinosaur games, there's this many people playing Ark and this many people playing this, based on the however big the niche is or isn't. So that, I mean, it doesn't just hurt people like us that would refer to that information on a weekly basis. Anybody trying to do, there will still be ways to get this information, but to be able to do quick market research, to quickly look at how many people are playing, comparisons and stuff like that. It was very convenient.
The one that Steam provides is very generic.
Yeah, they've got one.
Still have somebody.
It's at
it just says peak today. I mean, it does have peak for today, and the current players right now.
But it's only the top 100.
But it doesn't
games.
have. Yeah, it doesn't have the 7. Well, no, you can click a thing that shows, I think, the top 100.
That's what I'm saying, but it
doesn't show
the top 100.
Yeah, it doesn't show the 7-day. Like, okay, well, what was the highest in the last 7 days? It doesn't have. You can't compare that to a month ago. You can't see the over time charts. Perhaps this is a sign that maybe Steam is going to be putting some of this information on their store pages, so you can see over time. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they have somewhere that they're going with this.
It was nice to see those 6 and 8 month trends of things going up and down, and look, they did an update here. You could see this the peak, and there'll still be ways to get current game information if we want it. But for the time being, I don't really see a benefit of just pulling the. I want the full system to be there, because I mean the games like Miscreated are not in the top 100, and they won't be. So we'll never have any information on that. Unturned probably is not within the top 100. So there's just the games that we talk about.
Unturned is, but yeah, Miscreated's not. And some of the new games that we run into that we want to see what people are playing. How many people are playing it. That doesn't show. So
Just Survive is definitely not in the top 100. There's no way that's in the top 100. So there's just games that aren't going to be available for us to talk about. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on it, but I would imagine they'll do something.
I don't understand. Like, one thing is like H1Z1's in there. H1Z1 has 5,000 players and they're on there somehow.
Well, so, I mean, that's the top. I mean, that's the top game. It doesn't. I don't know how many users. I mean, there's 9 million users.
PUBG, Dota, and then CS:GO are pretty much the top 3. And they have 5 times at least the next one down. Like they have 5 times the number of players.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much those guys, and then everyone else is just small numbers compared.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at there's like probably 7 or 8 million people playing PUBG, Dota 2, and I'm sorry, 700 to 800,000 people currently playing PUBG, Dota 2, or Counter Strike. So that that's those are the big fish there.
And you'd have to add up the next like 10 or 15 to be able to add up to that number.
Exactly. So it's unfortunate. We loved having those numbers. Loved having that stuff available. I would guess
we'll see if something changes.
Something will. Something absolutely will, because that was one of the big things of Steam was like, hey, there's all this information available and all this cool stuff, and now that this is all gone, I mean,
here's what I wanted to know, and I wanted to get your opinion on this. What is the perception that people get? Because I mean, look at how much of the perception of the number of players drove PUBG. People thought initially that, and with H1Z1 even, people initially thought there's so many people playing this in America is what they thought. Everybody's playing H1Z1. And then all of a sudden we kind of came to the realization that, well, it's mostly China and there's not actually that many Americans playing that game. It seemed like those numbers of saying, oh, look we had this many people playing, that kind of drove the popularity. Taking this away, do you think it's going to help or hurt a lot of these games in the future? Not knowing will it help not knowing how many people are actually playing games now?
See, for somebody like H1Z1,
for some games it seemed to help.
Well, somebody like
but then it ended up hurting them once people found out, oh, less people are playing it.
Well, somebody like H1Z1 not having those numbers available every week is going to be very useful for them. I would assume the developers can still see the numbers of their own game.
Yeah.
But for somebody like them, we can sit here and say, oh, how many people are playing Just Survive? I don't know.
No clue.
I mean,
well, what about Lawbreakers? Lawbreakers will never show up on that list.
Yes.
And that's one thing we brought up over time. Lawbreakers. Oh, there's 8 people playing. Well, you will now never know unless you log in and somehow it shows you, how many people are waiting in that one queue. You'll never know where we could see and say, oh, we know that Lawbreakers is failing, even though they had this huge public facing of, oh, look at how popular of a game we are. Look at how wonderfully we're doing. I mean, a year ago, they had the biggest booth at PAX.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I saw it. We didn't really know what the game was, but everybody was talking about Lawbreakers, but no one was playing it. And if we wouldn't have known that nobody was playing it, would we still think that Lawbreakers was popular? I mean, based on PAX, you were there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you have thought that Lawbreakers was incredibly a popular game, only having known what you saw at PAX?
Absolutely. They had a booth that was the size of Bethesda's and Twitch's and EA's. I mean, it was the largest booth that you can buy. Microsoft and Sony, all same size as those booths.
So that's the thing is we were able to look at the actual players and get a realistic view of what people actually think of that game. I think this is going to kind of take away one of those tools of what we can see about a game and see what people really think about it. Because as I said, and as you saw, looking at it, it seemed like it was right on par with the top 10 games in the industry at the time. Obviously it was not. And the only way we knew that was by the players' numbers. And so it's going to allow people to put on a charade of claiming that they're popular for longer, without it being disproven, I think.
It's kind of a scary thing isn't the right word. Yeah, scary isn't the right thing, but just kind of a unfortunate thing that's going on. Because it's going to lead
to more companies putting on that perception of we're doing so well when there's not really an easy way to disprove them.
Yeah, I mean, but my biggest thing is, for example, Miscreated or somebody 7 Days Die does an update. How well was that update received? You could tell based on the peak in the chart and how long it lasted before it petered back out to where it normally is. And that information, as of right now, will not be available. I would assume something's going to come. They're going to have to release some type of API. People are going to be pissed if this information isn't available. So they'll do something. I mean, hey, you know what? They may make it themselves. That's fine. They can do what they want. It's their service. But this information needs to be out in the public.
Yeah.
For people. There's no. We're back to the Fortnite example again, where now we're gonna have to wait for the developer to say, oh, 4 million people are playing. Well, how do we know? Because you put it on your Twitter. I mean, I'm not accusing Fortnite of lying, but I mean, I could make the argument right now that we've got 100. We get 100,000 downloads to every episode of Infection. There's nobody can prove me wrong except for Brian. Nobody else has got that information. So I'm not accusing them or anybody of lying. It's just when that information isn't being tracked by a known third party that is just scraping it off of everybody's profiles, how and what and who do you believe? And that's the thing, is I don't believe Fortnite's numbers. Not because I think they're an unethical company and that they're lying. It's just convenient to publish and post numbers, whenever you want to. Now, is it probably...
Well, the thing is they're going to be posting the peak times, and we've seen from some of these other companies, there's a big difference. I mean, even look at PUBG. There's a big difference between the couple million people playing when China's at peak versus the, probably right now, a couple 100,000 people playing. What are the consistent numbers? Like, okay, you maybe have a burst of, for some reason, there's a lot of people playing at once, but how are the rest of the times? How are the other 23 hours of the day? Are you guys getting 50,000 players, 100,000 players, or are you truly consistently throughout the day getting millions of players? There's no way to know that with a company like that, because they're only going to show you the best example of player counts.
Exactly.
There's not that accountability anymore.
It's the social media thing. Like, it's the Instagram effect. Oh, I only post the best picture of me and my friends and my family, even though my life is a dumpster fire. It's just that effect. And again, I'm not saying Fortnite is doing that, but you open up the possibility when there's no other source of the information. It can only come from, again, we have 100,000 listeners to every single podcast. Somebody prove me wrong. Some listener in the chat proved me wrong. You can't. It's impossible. You cannot physically prove me wrong. Now, you could say, well, you've only got 10 people watching on Twitch, so you probably don't have 100,000 people listening. But, I mean, you physically cannot tell me that. It's impossible. And it's the same thing with the statistics. So hopefully they get that service back online so that, everybody can see and say, hey, this is how many people are playing, this game at this time and all that fun stuff. So kind of a sad day.
I think it helps the industry. I think it helps some developers, who get a realistic, what is the level playing field again? I've used that word a lot today, but like what's the field? What's normal out there? Because you get developers to where if it's the Instagram effect, I mean, look at how many people are depressed because they look at someone on Instagram and they say, oh, well, I'm not as beautiful as that person. I don't have as nice of things as that person. But if you were in that person's life who's taking these pictures and giving you this fake persona of what they really are, you probably find that their life isn't that great and your life isn't that bad. But because they have the opportunity to Photoshop and perfectly present what they put to you as their life, and this is what you were alluding to, there's a false representation there, and it gives people a false sense of reality. And I think that we're giving, without this, there's an option of giving us, and that's what I was getting at with Lawbreakers, presenting us with that false sense of reality. And so that's what I want to avoid. And I liked having the real numbers because, being one of the original people to really point out, hey, look at China. No one else did it on Reddit first. China's, look at these numbers, because I had the raw data to look at it and finally uncover what was there. How are you going to do that now? Like with Nick's analogy, how are you going to prove what our viewer numbers are? Well, you can't unless the information is provided. So, and there's plenty of podcasters out there who will do the Instagram thing and say, here's how many, we're so popular. Look at how many people we have. When, if you went and look back and saw how many of those were probably bots and not real views or not real downloads, not real listens. I think there's a lot of that actually happening in the industry, even in the podcast world. A lot of people present themselves to be the biggest, the best, the most popular, but they're no Joe Rogan.
Yeah, exactly. They're not the real Joe Rogan. All right. So we got a lot of news to get into here, Brian. So let's start running through it real quick here as we got a little bit of we'll have a little bit of a shorter show on this Wednesday. I'm fading into
Nick needs to sleep.
I'm fading out of reality here, but this is cool. So obviously we've got this new map, this new Savage map in PUBG, this island kind of Far Cry. I misstated last week. It's Far Cry 3 that looked like this, not Far Cry 4.
Yes.
So for the Far Cry 3, kind of the tropical island,
the tropical
huts,
environment,
palm trees, that kind of thing. And you assume that you don't assume. Sometimes you think, oh, how do they come up with this concept, this idea? And in this case, they actually did a little storyboard of it, and they sent part of their where does it say? It says they sent part of their art, their technical artists, their concept artists, and their 3D environmentalist artists, a couple of those people, out to Thailand to look at some landscape here. So I'm going to scroll through a couple of the pictures here, and these are some pictures that were taken by the PUBG team. You can see them kind of walking around here, taking a look at the sites, taking pictures, sketching, doing stuff like that. You can see here this guy's holding a color palette against this rock. I think it's a rock he's holding it against to get a color code to see what kind of color that actually is. So he's some art director doing that. Here are some palm trees and how they're laid out. You can see this. I mean, it's crazy when you look at this, how much this looks like the actual map. So you've got that. Here's another scene of, it looks like they're taking pictures of the rocks on this. And then here's what the map looks like, the in-game screenshots. And you can see it's based very similarly to this surrounding that these artists.
And they tried to get the look of the cracked rocks and just they tried to just get the feel of it, which they did. I mean, do you think that this was worth it? Do you think it's worth trying to get that realistic rather than just saying, let's get something that in our minds is close?
Yes, I think so. Because I mean, I don't know. Oh, sorry about that. I don't know about. Obviously, these people are very creative. I don't consider myself a very creative person. In terms of, like, if you were to say, here's a blank canvas, do something. I don't necessarily know I don't necessarily know what I would do. I'm not creative in that sense, but I would imagine that these art teams, these developers, they need something to base this off of. So even if it's just go there, take pictures, this is what we want to make our map sort of look like. That may be fine, but there's got to be some.
Well, and a lot of places will do it based on. Well, a lot of places will do it based on Google search results.
Yeah.
And they're probably worried that they'll kind of base something too close to an image. I mean, look at what happened with we brought it up last week with GTA. And they have these photos and someone says, oh, you made one that's too close to a photo I made at one time. We're going to sue you for all this money. For them, I think legally, rather than just taking pictures, going on Google Maps or Google Images and searching for pictures of islands and rocks there. Where maybe someone could say, well, this is a rock that I own the license to the picture of. Here, I think this is more of a protective thing for them to say, you know what, this is all our original content. We took the pictures. We came up with this just to protect them from being sued in the future. I don't know if it's necessarily so that they be 100% accurate. I just think when you get that big and you become that big of a target, I don't think they want to be at risk of being sued.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if it's necessarily, I don't think it's about being 100% accurate, but you've got to remember they're building an entire map. I mean, it's easy to say like, oh, if I needed to build a city in one of these games, I'm sure I could do it. It wouldn't be fantastic, but I could do it. They're developing the entire map. I mean, the coastlines where there's nothing, the inner cities where things are really dense and packed, and I would assume this is just their motivation. This is just a framework for them to build off. It may not even be a framework. It may just be, here's a couple of ideas, and you can see based off these pictures, these bottom two pictures here, what the map kind of looks like. I thought it was cool they did this little blog post because it is neat to see how a physical, like a real location is kind of digitized and turned into a video game.
Yep.
So I thought that was
because they have to create the textures and create all of this stuff, and so it's easier when you can give someone an exact, I want it to look like this, because then they can quickly turn it out and not be, and you don't have to worry about having the wrong things being handed to you and then be like, no, that's not what I was thinking. Make it more like this, and have it go back and forth a couple times. Here they could say, I want it to look exactly like this. This is what's real. And I think that allowed them to quickly turn something around in their art department.
Yeah. Now, we had an update last Wednesday. This is a pretty significant update. This is the second, the day 2 update to this. This map came out last Tuesday on the show. We talked about it as it was hitting the people's Steam libraries. We had played a couple games and we had a chance to talk about it. Again, Codename Savage. It's kind of the Far Cry 3, Tropicana, maybe even like the Just Cause style map, where forest, tropical rainforest, palm trees, straw hut kind of thing. So this update here introduced squads alongside solo, so you can now team up either of those, or you can queue up either of those ways, rather. They do say they'll expect longer queue times. Remember, this is the experimental server. This is a separate installer.
Yeah.
So there's not the servers.
So there's a lot less people playing it.
There's a lot less people. There's a lot less infrastructure. They're not going to dedicate hundreds of thousands of resources to this. This is just their test thing here. As well as that, they've also reopened the signups. I don't know if they're still open right now. I already have mine and it won't show me. But it's map.
I think they opened it up again, so I think you still can go in there and try to sign up for it.
So it's mapbeta.playbattlegrounds.com to get that. There'll also be a link in the show notes for that. Here's a couple of interesting things and some larger things that they're doing here with this second update. The first thing, which I think we both talked about last week, is they increased item and weapon spawn rates in residential buildings and small cabins. I had a hard time finding loot in the couple of games that I played before last Tuesday's show. So that's hopefully useful. This is interesting. The first blue zone circle will show up right at the beginning of each match, so players can plan their strategy before parachuting.
I think that's a lot better method.
Before I move
get
on,
it started.
What do you think? Well, because here's the thing, but no, it's not. They're not getting it started. They're just showing where it is. It doesn't, and they do adjust the play times. But what do you think of this?
I think that this might be that kind of indicator. Remember what I was saying of maybe even showing, heat map of where people are landing and things like that. I think that this is maybe then we'll step into, all right, we can start the circle going in faster, because right now they have it start so slow because you may have someone who's on the opposite side of the map from the original one. Well, maybe someone is willing to take that risk and knows that, all right, the zone is going to be over here, but that means that no one's going to be landing over here, and I'll have some time, mostly go out, find a vehicle, and that's their strategy. They're allowing to create that strategy to take that risk. Right now, it's pure chance. And the reason that I heard a lot of people complain saying, this game is not ready to be on a true competitive level is because of the RNG of it, the randomness of it. Competitive professional players do not like randomness. Randomness is not a sign of skill. Sometimes you get a good hand, sometimes you don't. If you're gambling, if you're playing poker, that's great. You're trying to work the randomness into, learn how to manipulate it correctly, right? Have it work in your favor. But in professional gaming, look at CSGO, incredibly predictable as far as what the game's going to do. All these games that are really popular and are very competitive are predictable. They don't have the randomness factor. They don't have random bombs dropping out of the air and blowing them up in the middle of nowhere for no reason. And so I think this might be a first step into maybe being true to let's make this a competitive game by taking out and not putting that 100% RNG into the first drop. And I wouldn't be surprised if they took out the explosions. In here, they do note fewer explosions, not quite gone. But I think eventually you then will also see no explosions later.
They also say that there's, as I said, the time, the original zone time has been sped up a little bit during the first phase. Obviously, now that it shows you, Brian is saying the red zone, there are fewer explosions inside the red zone now, so those zones will happen less, and when they happen, there'll be less inside of them. And now vans also spawn less often. The two-wheel motorcycle spawns more often, and motorbikes with sidecars have been removed from this map. This map seems like it'll be good for the two-wheel motorcycle and stuff like that. So pretty significant update. It doesn't sound like it, but obviously having more items in the game is huge, and then adjusting, tweaking how they want to start your game off is...
Well, let's jump in because there's a new update that's beyond this.
Okay.
So that was on the test server, right? That was in kind of response to that one map, Savage. They put out their update number 10 for the PC today.
Okay.
And what this did is this, for the regular game, this is for the non-test version of the game, they actually adjusted these zones. So they've adjusted that the blue zone delay is now for one. Before it was 120 times, or 120 plus 300. So I don't know what the 120 of it was at the initial before it started, before it even stated when the zone is going to be. Here it says now it's 90 and then 300. So they cut down that initial dead time, right? And then there was 200, now it's 90. So they've cut it in less than half. Same thing with the 3, it's from 150 to 60, 120 to 60. 120 to 60, 90 to 60, 90 to 60, and then the last zone was 60. That stayed the same. So that's the blue zone inactive time. So then in the final one, there was an inactive time of 180 seconds plus 15 seconds. And so that went down to 80 seconds plus 15. So it's really like, for a lot of their times, they've cut them in half.
This is
a little
huge.
less than in half in the last section, just to speed these games up overall. So didn't I complain about this last week?
Yeah, well, you and I both complained about we complained about the mobile version of the game taking a damn eternity to play a damn mobile game. I mean, you're an hour and 15 minutes, 45 minutes.
So long.
Yeah.
The whole process just to get on the ground and going took so long that I think that this will make a big difference. So one thing they did as well is the meters per second. So that was the number of seconds, before the zone starts to move. Now they've also adjusted the speed of the zone themselves. If you look at the first one, it went from 19 to 21 seconds, or 21 meters per second. So they've sped them up. Each one they've sped up. For the second one, they did from 11.4 meters per second, 13.7. Now they did slow it down for the third. It was 16.4 to 9.4. 12.3 to 5.2. So what they've done is they made it to where the time between the zones is smaller, right? Initial ones are faster, but then they've actually just slowed down the blue zone over time towards the end. So they make it so where it's pretty much now just constantly creeping in. It gets in there faster in the beginning. But then it just does more of a constant creep in to where I think the games will be about probably the same time overall, but there won't be huge waits between the zone actually moving like there was before. And then they've also raised the damage per tick. So when you're in the blue zone, people aren't going to be camping out in there as much.
Well,
in the beginning of the game, it's the same, but at the end, they've made it to where, rather than 7 damage, it's 8 damage, rather than 9 damage, 11 damage in the end, rather than 11 damage, it's 14 damage. So just to kind of make it so people have to get in there now.
And let me say something here. My complaint with the time is not that the games are too long per se. I guess I need to clarify this. It's that you spend 45 minutes in the game and you accomplish nothing. You get geared up and you see one person.
The thing is the beginning is so slow that you're not really feeling like you're okay. You don't feel the rush. Like I got to get going. Cause I got like 15 minutes to sit here and do whatever I want. I can start moving to the zone if I want, but I can run around, loot. And then I'll look at my map. It should be that the second you get down, you're starting to, as they said, the word strategy, you're starting to, try to come up with a strategy of, all right, how am I going to move? Like, where do I need to go? Like right before this patch, you didn't even have to think about it. you could just land wherever you want, and you're like, oh, I know I've got a good 10 minutes to really try to figure something out.
And
And that, as I said, in the mobile does not work because you feel like you haven't really accomplished anything, and you're dying, and then you're having to spawn again. And it's like gonna be another 10 minutes before actually have anything happening other than the initial landing zone.
yeah, oh,
So
absolutely. So the point kind of is, if you're going to win the game, like if you're going to play through and win the full thing, that should be a 45-minute, hour 15 ordeal. But guess what? I don't do that. I don't win those games. So that's what I like about Fortnite is I get in and I die quickly. And that makes it sound stupid. Oh, why would you want to die quickly? I don't want to just sit around and wait to die. If I'm going to die in my first gun battle, which is
that's why you land in the very busy zone. So either you get really good action, because if you land in a not high population area, you might be 15 minutes before you see somebody and actually get some gunplay.
That happens a lot.
What was the waste for that one gunfight? You sat there and just, ran around and gathered stuff for 15 minutes for one gunfight. And that on a mobile is just not acceptable. Like that's not worth the joy that I get out of that one gunfight is not worth the 15 minutes it took to get there.
And that's kind of the whole. That's kind of the story. There is the game, as you're saying. If you're going to make it to end game, it's probably going to be the same length. But if you're going to die at the beginning, which I mean, it happens. I mean, there's 100 people in the game, and within 10 or 15 minutes, there's 70 or 60 people because people die. That's what happens. Let's make it quick and painless. I don't need to spend 15, 20, 25 minutes getting geared up to die right away. I mean, it's just stupid. So I'm looking forward to this. I really am.
Now, also what they've done is in-game clothing spawns have been removed from all maps. So you're not going to have just shoes and shirts and all that stuff. Other than that, the balance of the loot remains the same, but you will not have clothing laying around, which I remember originally we're like, well, why is all this clothing here? Who cares? Like you don't run around picking up clothing trying to look the best. Players can now see, and this is on Miramar specifically, players can now see the first safe zone while flying in the airplane. So they have implemented that into the regular game for Miramar. We may or may not carry this over to the next live update. Want your feedback about this change. On Erangel, specifically the first zone will now be revealed 30 seconds earlier. So, that's the whole thing. They're making it to where you see it earlier in that map. And then on the one, the desert map, they went through and kind of added some more roads. They've been trying to make that, because I think they've been struggling to get that to feel, as I said in the beginning, like the other maps. People get frustrated because it doesn't have as much loot. It's just not as easy to get around. You can't go flying through the hills in this. Like you'll hit points that you cannot get over with vehicles.
Yep.
So it's a different type of map to traverse around than the other one. So they found that they have to add a lot more roads and ways for people to get around the map, because you can't just cut through like you can on the original map. So they've added the Oasis can be found in the north. Alcantara Village has been added in the northwest. And as I said, they added roads, off-road paths, car spawning positions to easy travel in and out of the area. High tier loot is now more likely to spawn in specific areas of the north in Miramar. And then they've optimized the GPU performance of buildings seen from mid-range on all of the different maps. So other than that, it was a lot of fixes. I don't know if you saw anything else that really stood out to you as far as updates to this.
Nothing particular.
One thing, if you're a team leader, you can now kick team members. So you can kick any team member on the team tab if you're a team leader. So I'm assuming that means if you created a custom group, maybe someone disconnects or something, you can now kick someone off of the screen. You can now send requests for invitations by clicking the invite button on another player's career screen. So you can invite specific people through that as well. So those are some of the UI changes. Other than that, it's just a couple of fixes for this patch number 10 for the PC. And as I said, this came out today. So
there you go.
All right. So let's since we're rushing through here pretty quick, let's talk about what's going to be the game of the week.
Before you do that, let's announce the giveaway, since this will probably be a little bit of a longer conversation.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one for 60 points.
And while you do that, you can head on over to our website, infectionpodcast.com/support, if you want to support the program. A couple different ways that you can do that. One of the new ways, of course, is through the Twitch Prime subscription, or just a regular Twitch subscription. You can head on over to our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/infectionpodcast. Click the subscribe button and connect that way. Or you can head on over to our website. You can donate through PayPal, direct contribution, our Amazon affiliate link, or with Humble Bundle. So if you're going to buy a game on Steam, it's going to be the same price as it is on Humble Bundle. If you're paying full price, buy through Humble Bundle with this. It'll still give you a Steam key, and it helps support the broadcast. So you can do all of that over on our website, infectionpodcast.com/support.
All right. So I'm picking, I have 2 games that I can give away, and I'm gonna let you pick which one we do. Is that all right, Nick?
Sure.
All right. So either Outlast 2 or the Deus Ex Mankind Divided.
Ooh,
you have a preference?
Deus Ex would probably be, I think that's a more mainstream title. Would you agree?
Yeah. I've actually been playing it on the PS4.
Oh, okay.
So, I didn't actually use my key for this one on the PC because I figured I have it on PS4. So, yeah, so we will do Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, and this is, let's see, I'm trying to find a link for it, but we'll do this one probably about 10 minutes. Well, let's just do it right before the show ends.
Yeah,
we'll do it.
Yep.
We'll wrap it up right at 30 minutes. So go to exclamation point giveaway in chat, and then we will give away a copy of this. So very good. Thank you.
All right.
All right. So let's go ahead, and there's a video for this. So I don't know if you want to play the video first. So this is going to be our game of the week. It is a free-to-play game. Just came out in the last couple days.
What's it called?
So this is called, let's see, Radical Heights.
All right.
And we'll have a link to the Steam page so you can get it downloaded for the game of the week. And then we'll talk about it a little bit after this video.
Yep, it's about a 2.5-minute little trailer video here. We'll play it, play the trailer, and then we'll come back and we'll give you some comments, some updates.
New from Giannis Toys, Radical Heights action figures. Get your kids familiar with America's favorite game show.
And in other news, the Giannis Corporation has announced a brand new Radical Heights dome to be completed outside of New Baltimore in the spring of 2024.
New on the Giannis Network, Double Dudes 2, Quadruple the News.
I fought in the War of '92. I served my country during the Great Dissolve. And this is what I have to show for it? I'm ready to be more than this. I'm ready to get what I deserve. The cash, the prizes, the fame. I am going to Radical Heights.
Thank you, Roddy, and thank you everyone in our studio audience for being here today. Boy, oh boy, do we have an exciting show for you. We are just moments away from seeing if our contestants can grasp those Radical Heights.
All right. So this came out. I was not on the internet while I was away. I was conference all day, casino all night. There was not a lot of browsing the internet time. So Brian, what the hell did I just watch?
So, all right, so this came out yesterday.
Okay.
And this, what I kind of view it as is a self-aware version of H1Z1, right? This is kind of what H1Z1 was turned into, but this, they're kind of just playing off of the craziness, the bright colors. People, this is a total 80s theme battle royale game. I had a chance to play it with PH some today, and it's actually it does pretty well for being, early access. For the very first initial release, we had no issues connecting. We didn't have a bunch of stuttering issues. Gunplay seemed to work pretty well. It's got some very unique systems in it. And the whole thing with the money, you get to save money and you can buy weapons in game. I know that Fortnite has, they put into where you can actually buy upgrades and things like that. These guys implemented it very well. They have a nice array of weapons. I was very surprised. It was much better than what I expected. I expected it to be very clunky, poorly made. I got in there and it was actually pretty fun to play. So I think that people will have, you look at it and it looks pretty silly, but for me, this is what I see when I look at H1Z1 now. So, these guys are just totally embracing it, the craziness and the silliness. And they've made it to where it actually works in the gunplay, and it's not tacky. It's purposely tacky. So totally a self-aware game. And I think they've done a very good job of making something that, it's free to play. So you get your money's worth out of it for sure. But for the time that PH and I played, it worked perfectly for us. So, there are some glitches here and there, and they've blocked out some of the buildings, so they're not textured. Just like you see in the new map in PUBG. But I think you should download it and give it a try, because it was very surprising for me that it worked as well as it did. So give it a try. I would encourage people to give it a try and let us know if they have the same experience that PH and I did.
And I will. I'll try to give this a try between now and next week's show. It looks very interesting. I like it. Kind of almost had a little bit of a GTA vibe with the money and buying guns and upgrading them kind of thing. Like the music, spot on.
And the money carries between matches.
Well, that's kind of the GTA aspect of your money's in your ATM. You take it out, it's on your body. You get killed, you lose it. That's kind of that aspect that had me going right towards.
Well, and I'm wondering if they're going to kind of play that into kind of a tiered league. People with big bank accounts maybe get into different ones, because you can buy guns initially. Gives you a little bit of an advantage having money, which gives a little bit of a skill tier, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they want it to where, if you play a lot, you have a little bit of an advantage over somebody else. But I would wonder if they would look at those bank accounts, and maybe that would help them to decide, who's somebody who's would go into a different match than somebody else. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where they go with it, or what you can spend on beyond. There's a lot of possibilities of what they could do, but as I said, go and give it a try. I think you'll find that it's kind of a fun game to play. And it's got a lot of the same skins that you see in H1Z1. So, but they're all crazy like this.
And
give it a try.
Crazy is good when it's
intended.
When it's intended. Thank you, Battery Included, for the cheer there. When it's intended, and when it's well,
you're signing up for this when you get this game.
Yes, yeah, you know what you're getting.
You know what you're getting. When H1Z1 didn't start, if you look at what H1Z1 started as, it was a serious zombie game, right? As far as if we remember the very original videos they showed of Smedley, it had a certain atmosphere. It was, like dark, and, you're supposed to kind of be scared. And then it turned into this. This is what it ended up as. Well, when I bought H1Z1, I didn't buy that. I bought a serious zombie game that was kind of like a DayZ type of a feel. And you know, this is what they ended up being. Here, if you're into that kind of a game, you like it being arcadey, this is an arcadey game. So you know exactly what you're getting. They're not going to turn around and make it serious. They're not going to do, you know, the opposite of what H1Z1 did. It's going to stay an arcadey, silly game. And so if you're looking for that, I think you'll find that it's better than what you expect.
And I guess we'll find out Friday night. Hopefully you'll join us in our Discord. We'll get started right around 8 o'clock Eastern is when our Game of the Week typically starts, and you can find all of the links, all the information for that over on our website, infectionpodcast.com. You can join our Discord server, and that's how we chat and talk and get all connected to play games.
Yes. All right. So as far as what you want to talk about next, let's go ahead and we've brought it up a couple times. Let's talk about Fortnite a little bit. They had a really big patch come out this past, I think it was today, actually. So there is a video. They show a new item in there. I don't know if you have any of these videos ready. The first one I alluded to a second ago, but they have added a vending machine similar to what's in Radical Heights. And this is something that you can actually purchase guns and things inside of the game for. So let's go and play this video. I don't know if you have audio for it.
I do not.
Probably just music.
No, yeah, there's no audio on it.
All right. So you can, for instance, here's an example. They show 500 wood will get you a rocket launcher. So you can, with the resources that you normally would be building platforms in game with, they now allow you to, and now these, you don't get to pick everything you want. There's of vending machines here. So some of these vending machines will be gray level items. Some will be, that was a epic, a gold level item. So you may come up to a vending machine and it'll give you bandages, and nothing that great. So I think that this will be an interesting change to the gameplay. Having seen how they did the vending machines in, that last Radical Heights game, it was done very well and it really added to the game. I think that hopefully this with Fortnite, it's something that actually adds to the game. Another one, there's a second video here, and this one I didn't see coming. It's kind of a very unique, and I don't see any other games doing it. So this is a first for this. But they now have what they call Port a Fort.
I saw this. This is pretty interesting.
Yeah. So this is something that you can carry in your pocket, and you can throw it down, and it's an instant fort. Now, what do you think of that? I mean,
give me a break.
Does this make sense in the game?
And there's already so much of this stupid building. I mean, I understand. You know what I bet? I bet you the concept and the idea was this is for players like me and you that don't really build.
Yeah.
But
want to have a fort.
But I don't. I mean, I just don't. I don't feel that building. I don't feel that building is going to do me any better or worse in the game. I feel like I feel like building something like this is only going to get me screwed more than I already am from not building. I mean, I just don't enjoy the building aspect. I could, if I wanted to, build and do this, do the crazy building. I just don't want to. I don't find the building aspect of the game fun. I don't enjoy building, sky ramps and jumping down and running back and over. And I don't find that I don't find that fun. I don't find that interesting. It's not my play style.
I don't find it relaxing. It's kind of weird in a VR game to say I like to be relaxed. I like being relaxed, but I find PUBG somewhat relaxing a lot of times. H1Z1, I mean, I'm more found like just the sitting in bushes part, not relaxing, but boring and frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to have a game where I can come up with a plan and then I can execute that plan. I feel like Fortnite, it's just a constant, it's good for streaming. It's just a constant, you got to do something, you're throwing stuff down, constant moving.
Yeah.
Your eyes are constantly being assaulted, on a stream of stuff happening. And that's great, as I said, for a streamer. But as a player, I don't feel like doing that. that's just not how I enjoy play. I don't enjoy having to constantly click and be throwing stuff down and spinning my camera around. Um, but there are players that enjoy doing that, and that's a game for them. But that's why I don't think I've really gravitated towards Fortnite, because I just don't want to constantly be clicking. And my mouse makes loud noises. Like, it's just going to be click, 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 click the whole time. I just don't feel like it. Like, I just want to play and not have to do that. And there's not really an option to do that in this game. Maybe this is their answer to that. Okay, you don't like building? Throw down this when, a fight's happening and whatever. Maybe this is their answer to that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't find as you're saying, I play this game very casually, so the building part of it is incredibly, it's not casual whatsoever is what I'm trying to say. It's just not casual. It's just,
you have to be incredibly practiced. It's like us jumping into a CSGO match with PH. It's like, for us, it's aggravating because, you've got these people that play this constantly, and within 2 seconds, they've got a full multi-walled building surrounding them. The second that you, as PH kind of alluded to it, the second you throw one bullet their way, they've got a full building surrounding them. And it's like, all right, now I got to deal with this.
It's just why I don't.
It's
why I don't bother building, because it's just I can't compete, and that's why this fort doesn't interest me, because this isn't going to do me any good. I mean, these players are they're just gonna build ramps up to my fort and kill me up there. It's not gonna be any different.
Yeah.
I mean,
wonder if this is maybe something that's going to kind of be going towards the mobile version.
Now, I would agree with that,
because this would make more sense in the mobile, because it's hard to sit there and spin around and build and do all that stuff. All right, throw up a fort and create somewhat of a similar experience in the mobile.
Now, I would agree with you on that. But now, see, the thing is these damn mobile players are so good. I played a little bit at the airport. They're building the same damn things in the mobile version. Somehow, they're still doing the wall around and ramp and wall and ramp and wall. I don't get it. I just don't freaking get it. So yeah, there you go.
All right. So, and then they've added the 50 versus 50 V2. So the two teams will clash in the updated. So this is a limited time mode. So make sure, and this is released today. So usually they'll, we see all these places that run something for 3 days. And by the time you get to the show, it's like, okay, well, this was released on a Wednesday. If we had done our show yesterday, we wouldn't have been able to get to you about this.
And
so
see, that was all part of the plan.
Part of the plan, yeah. So now this is a limited time mode. So get in there. You can do a 50 versus 50 battle royale in there. Also, Cyberpunk heroes. They've added 4 new heroes with what they call gnarly fashion sense. So these are kind of cyberpunk, weird, kind of a laser neon look. I don't know. They're kind of the 80s thing.
Kind of a Kung Fury look.
Yep. And then they've added some neon weapons to kind of go. You see somewhat of those images in the images of the people, but these illuminate the battlefield and send those husks flying high with the one energizing punch. And so these are neon. They actually have like guns and swords and things like that with neon light bulbs on them.
These look really cool.
Be interested to see. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see them in game when they actually, because in a picture you can't really see them glow, right?
Yeah, these are really impressive models, though. I mean, I love the neon flow lights on everything. Yeah,
they're actually made correctly.
Yeah, they look really good. Now, again, we've seen these are non-in-game images, so we'll see what they.
I don't know. They're usually pretty close to what.
Usually,
that's one thing Epic does, is usually pretty close to what it looks like in game. So I think if this were H1Z1, I'd be like, okay, whatever. Great concept art. That's not what it's going to look like. But I think with Epic, it'll be pretty close.
Awesome.
All right. So then they just had, if you look, they've got tons of fixes. Pages and pages of fixes. They have the replay system, save your matches and watch them from any angle, speed up or slow down the action, help tell your story better with player outlines and nameplates. So, and this is something that the PUBG did. PUBG has where you can go and replay and see the matches. You can choose from third person. They have 3 different follow modes for that: and off, auto, and lazy. They have drone follow, drone attach, drone free, so you can kind of move around the scene of the replay. And then they have different camera settings that you can do. Now, I mean, for someone who's making a YouTube video, you could do some pretty cool stuff with this.
Yeah.
And so I think that this is currently on, it says currently available on PC and console only. Well, so not mobile. And the only things they're saying is it's not on mobile.
Yeah.
So if you have a PC console version, you can do this. The Port-a-Fort was added. It's epic rarity. It drops in stacks of 1. So, but you can get 5 in your inventory. And then it says when it's thrown, it's made out of metal and is 3 stories tall. Bottom floor is 1 by 1 with a door entry that you can go in, and then tires inside allow for easy access to the roof. So pretty much I think you can just bounce up to the roof immediately once you enter the door. So they've done some other tweaks to like the guided missile and things like that. Now the 50 versus 50 says due to being a large squad mode, profile stats will not be tracked. Daily and weekly challenges will still work. With the exception of the squad-based challenges, so like place top 6 in squad, etc. Says storm and map. Each team has a bus approaching the island from opposite directions. On the map, the friendly bus has a blue outline. The enemy has a red outline. The final storm circle is visible on the mini-map at the start of the game. Players have 10 minutes to loot the map as the storm closes in on the circle, then 5 minutes to fight, and another 5 minutes as the storm shrinks to the end. Supply drops come in batches of 3 to 6. They fall every 2 minutes and only land in the final storm circle, kind of driving people to that one spot. They added dotted lines to the map, which indicate the battle lines between the 2 teams. Crossing the line will make running into enemies more likely. So they're kind of giving you an idea of where, I guess, a safe zone for your area is. Farming resources have been increased for this 75% over default. Increase the floor loot spawn likelihood by 15%. The floor loot spawn has been doubled for ammo. Ammo boxes spawn triple the amount of ammo. So pretty much through this, they're just making so there's a lot bigger chance of getting ammo in this and loot inside of this map. The new Builder Pro controller configurations, they now have a configuration that you can do similar to the Combat Pro, but it's been made for fast placement of building pieces. Walls, floors, stairs, roofs have designated buttons on the controller. So if you're a person who really likes to build inside the game, they now have a controller layout just for you. They now have a squad comms wheel, which allows you to communicate quickly without voice. Following call outs are available. You can do enemy spotted, need meds, need shields, need materials, need weapons, and then need ammo. And then the loot llama can now be opened through destruction as well as interaction. So you can shoot it and loot it. You don't have to just go up to it and interact with it. Added a blue tint to friendly traps to help distinguish them from the enemy traps. And then it's just a lot of fixes for the rest of this. They said they did major optimizations and improvements to the console load times and CPU performance. Reduced the downloads and patch sizes for players who just have access to the Battle Royale PC only mode. Then there's a few fixes to the mobile. One thing they did is they enabled environmental damage for ranged weapons for Save the World, which is their non-Battle Royale version. This is the one that originally people bought. So they actually did a pretty big update to that one. So if you bought Fortnite with the intention of playing this as a PC non-Battle Royale game, I would log in and go check out the update they did, because they added in the quest line for it, made a bunch of changes to the gameplay, and so this is a big update for that mode. We'll have notes to it on the website. If you just go to this episode, it has a link to their website. It's a huge list of changes. About half of it is the original Fortnite game modes. So that's something to check out. All right. Other than this, I'm going to go run through just a quick number of games. We've got Darwin Project had an update. Unturned had an update. Sarian, which is a game that I kickstarted. It's a survival dinosaur game that kickstarted on Kickstarter. That came out with an update. The Black Death came out with a pretty big update this week. So I don't know. Do you have a preference on how much time
I'd
How
say
fast do you want to push this?
you've probably got about 5 minutes of updates and then probably 5 or so minutes to wrap up the show here.
All right. Well, do we want to do maybe the Rust video?
The Rust video is almost 10 minutes long, so I would say probably not.
Oh, is it? Okay, so we won't do that. All right, so let's go ahead and let's talk about the Black Death really quick.
Okay.
This is a big enough update. This is one they're calling is version 0.27. It's called War. One thing they did in this one is they actually upgraded to Unreal Engine 4.19, which is the latest. There were a lot of performance increases in 4.19, so they were able to upgrade to that and take advantage of those. I think that was what catered in a lot of these mobile games was having this. They do make a note in here. It says, and we do plan to upgrade to 4.20 later this month as soon as it's released, as there are optimizations that have been found from the game Fortnite implemented into the newest engine version of Unreal. So people are looking. I mean, I remember talking about this before, but Fortnite's been doing a big drive to improving the performance of the engine because they're getting well. First of all, they're getting a lot of money from it, but it's also driving them to maintain the performance on that. And so they're implementing fixes and improvements into Unreal Engine now that they weren't doing before. That games like this are able to fully optimize and take advantage of. So I think that's pretty cool. Before they were on 4.18, but 4.19 and 4.20 were really focused on some performance issues. So one thing you can do in this now is you can actually declare war on other guilds in the game. You get guild points and climb up the ranks by killing enemy guild members. So they're really focusing on the PvP aspect inside of the Black Death now, and that's something they hadn't really taken advantage of. This game, if there's anybody out there who plays this game or hasn't played it yet, let me know, and maybe we can get an afternoon and we can go through and play some, because I played it by myself and it is fun, but this is a game that'd be a lot more fun to play with people. And so if you had an opportunity to play this, let me know and we'll go in here and jump in and play for an hour or something. But they did say they optimized a lot of the LODs, which are pretty much level of details that as you get farther away from an object, it scales down the quality of it so that it's not using as many resources to render an engine. It really helps performance. That's a lot of for instance, what happened with this new version of Unreal is they really worked on optimizing that in the game, which is why it works so well in the mobiles, because mobile, they now do it based on screen size. So if you have if something is taking up a very small percentage of the screen, they figure it can be lower quality, right? Rather than before, they based it on distance. So they're saying, well, if you're this far away, it's going to be this quality. Well, on a mobile phone, that may not be the best way to do it. So they've really come up with a way that helps give a more accurate representation of what quality level something needs to be able to display it properly. So that is, is the Black Death. They have a lot of other updates they did to this. If you haven't played it, you'll have no idea what they're referencing, but just a lot of fixes. And this game's been getting pretty consistent updates to it. So I think it is. This is the one that I really regretted buying initially, but I don't regret it so much more because I think they just went to alpha way too early before anything was done.
Yeah.
And now it's getting to the point where it's actually a playable game. So,
and I do want to just quickly note there's an update here for Just Survive, H1Z1 Just Survive, and this update real quick includes a couple of new server rule sets. Again, this is for Just Survive. Clan Wars, which is a reduced zombie population PvP. So again, hello, we only talked about this like a year and a half ago. Solo PvP, all grouping, sharing mechanisms disabled to encourage solo play. Hardcore PvP, which is increased zombies and spawns and decreased loot spawns for a harder core survival experience. Sandbox PvP, which is PvP without the POI build restrictions, so you can throw your boxes and stuff all over the place. Hardcore PvE, increased zombie and spawn and decreased loot spawn for hardcore survival without the PvP combat / raiding. And then PvP PvE is a PvP server without raiding. So it's all the PvP functionality, except they can't steal all your stuff. And then a couple of, in addition to the rule sets, for a couple of things here, a couple of big changes. In PvP, they reduced the number of foundations a player can build, but they now allow clan members to snap their foundations together. So you can still build a larger base as long as you've got a couple people playing with you. They streamlined a lot of the loot in game to reduce the clutter of objects that had different names, but the same gameplay functionality, and a complete rebuild of the NPCs for performance and behavior improvements. And they now spawn based on the world location rather than near players. You'll find more zombies in town centers, and you'll find wildlife running away from gunfights. So I guess all of the talk of, we've talked about game ending, nothing's going to happen, everything's kind of over, I guess is not.
No, they're still doing stuff.
I mean, that's a pretty decent size update. So,
but we'll see if people play it.
Exactly. That will be, well, actually we won't, but we
won't know now, but I mean, that's the question.
Who knows? So
will people be playing the game? And I'm not necessarily sure that this is a little bit too late. Like if they would have implemented this stuff years ago when we were talking about it originally, I mean, we tried to do, there's no secret. We tried to get a Clan Wars type of a system done. And I had a domain name for it. We were making a website.
We were in the game files.
They had added into the game files the name of the server that we were going to have, and we had the top clans that played H1Z1 at the time, all willing to play on one server to kind of create the ideal example of what you would expect to play inside of H1Z1. And Daybreak dragged their feet. Oh yeah, we're doing it. Saw it pop up in the patch notes, that it was there. We couldn't really talk about it, but it never went anywhere. And if they would have allowed us to do that, I think it would have been a good example of, hey, here's what we envision PvP being in Just Survive. I think it's too late. It's turned into just troll PvP. It's not Clan Wars. You get like 3 guys who are just trying to kill everyone else on the server. That's what it turns into.
We had
maybe you'll have a group of 5 people. We had huge groups.
We had our clan, of course, the Infection Clan, which at that time was like 30+ members, ADK Gaming, Solid State Gaming, Animus Esports, Angel of Death, Hayes, and the 81st Ranger Company. We estimated that was about 200+ active players with all of those groups together. And we had everybody signed on. We had a nice note. Brian drafted a hell of a document to Daybreak. They said, sure, we'll do it. And then it just never happened. And that was kind of, I hate to say, I'm not trying to say like, oh, we were the end of the game. But I mean, that after that, it pretty much just dropped off because the clans stopped playing because it was just it was stupid. You were getting
this was kind of a last ditch effort because we saw that interest was waning for people playing because it just was turning, we're just hanging out on servers. There wasn't, everyone else had left the servers that wasn't our clan. And I think that every other clan was running into this. So we thought, well, the solution is let's create a server where clans can fight against each other.
Yeah.
And it's not going to drive off the players that are casual players.
Yeah. And it was whitelisted.
I think it would have.
It was whitelisted. So that individual, because the problem you had is that because of how poorly the game was built, you could have one player that could disrupt a clan of 30 people based off of them. It wasn't even trolling. It was just the way that they could screw around with the bases and gates and stuff opening, double opening and stuff like that. There's just a lot of issues that made trolls become a real problem where they were essentially they could cripple a group of 30 people based off of just stupid BS. So on that note, that was what we tried to do, but obviously we saw that nothing came from that. Alrighty, Brian. Well, I know you've got to run, so let's quickly do tip of the week, and I guess we'll go on from there.
And then we'll do the game giveaway. All right. So this is a tip of the week where either we'll talk maybe a general gaming tip or a specific one. This week, it's going to be on Radical Heights. So this is tip of the week. All right, so this is a game that released yesterday, And so I figured I would just give you some interesting information that I found inside of the game. This may be patched, so keep this in mind. Maybe a week from now, you may find that it no longer works. But the bushes, there's some big bushes in the game. They do not have any kind of transparency. So if you step inside of a bush, kind of like the old H1Z1 days, but even worse, you pretty much disappear because it is a solid image surrounding that bush. It's not individual branches. So if you step inside of the bush, you completely disappear in that bush, and there's no way that anyone can see you. So that is a nice way to be able to hide. Maybe you see someone coming and you're not ready to fight. Step inside of one of those bushes. They're giant bushes, and they will not be able to see your character. Now, if they're using ESP, yeah, I can't help you there. But also, there are some things happening with the terrain in game, and this is one that I don't recommend you try because I think of more of that as a cheat. But there are places in the terrain where your player actually goes underneath of the terrain, like the collision for the terrain is not lined up. I'm pretty sure they will fix this pretty quickly, but you'll be walking along and all of a sudden your character will disappear under the ground. And so that's the game not operating as intended. The bushes, I feel, are a free game because they are operating as intended. Whoever designed the bushes, that's how they made them. It's not because it was not intended to be that way. And so you can take advantage of that up until that point. But yeah, that's something that we used to do in H1Z1, go into a bush and chill and watch. This is something that works kind of in a similar way, but this game has some pretty unique elements into it. So I would encourage you to go in there, play around, check it out, see what you think. I think this has actually brought some new types of gameplay. They've incorporated some existing types of gameplay from other battle royales, but I think this has got some pretty interesting ways that they've done things that are different than other games. So it's free to play on Steam. Search for Radical Heights, and that is tip of the week.
Alrighty, Brian, thank you very much for that. And where can people find you on the internet?
Well, first of all, can I do the game giveaway?
I'm sorry. Yes, I jumped on you. I apologize.
That's the best with the yeah. All right, so let's go and close this raffle. And Saul Greatman, Saul Greatman, congratulations, longtime follower, supporter of the show. So thank you very much. And I will give you this key. And this one was actually given to us. Let's see. I want to make sure I give the right name. I think this one was from Joe. So this is actually from our favorite unicorn enthusiast, Unicorn Joe is what we know him as. But he gave us this copy. This was from a humble bundle. So this is Deus Ex Mankind Divided. And thank you very much. And if you're looking for any information on how to be a brony, he's the guy to talk to.
Yeah, not in our Discord. Find somewhere else to do that stuff. All right. Well, congrats to all. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks everybody for tuning in live. I know kind of threw off everybody's week. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people that woke up this morning, Wednesday, looking for the show in their podcatcher and were disappointed, but that's okay. They'll get it today, and they'll get it
It'll
tomorrow.
pop up now, and it'll be a little extra surprise.
It'll be, well, it's not really a surprise, I guess. It's saying it's a day late. But yeah. So we're here. Obviously, Wednesday show. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we appreciate that. Alrighty, Brian. I know you've got to get out of here.
So now officially we'll roll out.
Yes.
All right. So at Boise Computer on Twitter. Of course, you want to check out my blog, biteoftech.com. Of course, that's with an I, Bite of Tech. Also, make sure you go to our website. If you're a person who listens to the show on the podcast form, I encourage you to jump onto our website and see some of we have a lot of videos and links of images, show notes and things like that we discuss throughout the show. So I would encourage you to go on there and take a look at there's quite a few notes on there that we, and some of them we even skip over. We've got some things that we just mentioned that there are patches on there because we do not have time to cover them all. But if you're looking for those links, infectionpodcast.com. Of course, we have a link to our YouTube channel, our Twitch channel, if you want to catch us live, our Steam group. And as I said, the real thing that we're doing throughout the week is our Discord group. So if you're looking to hang out, maybe discuss games, play games with people, suggest news that we can cover, just to communicate with everyone that we're talking about on the show or communicate with us, just click the join server. It's a green button on our Discord. It's a free program, lightweight mobile client, very easy to use. This is totally free. There's no catches with it. and it's easy to click, and it'll connect you right up to it. So, and I think that's it for me. Thank you very much for putting up with our day late show.
Yes, and Brian, thank you for making room in your schedule for that. I appreciate it as always. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we will see you next Tuesday. We'll be back at our regular scheduled time next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be here. We'll be live. Of course, you can visit our website, infectionpodcast.com. Get all the information, show notes for 169 episodes worth of show notes, all the links, all the videos, all the things that we talked about on this evening's program. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Visit our website, infectionpodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week on Infection. Have a great week, everybody.